Living abroad is an absolutely fantastic experience. And you know what makes it even better? Sharing the adventure with others. Introducing Black Culture Trek 2024. Get ready to join me on a journey that will sweep you off your feet as we dive into the mesmerizing influence of African Americans and Black culture in Europe. From the fearless soldiers of World War I to the incredible artists and writers who've left an indelible mark on European culture. This isn't just a trip. It's a journey of a lifetime. We're going to explore iconic landmarks, dive headfirst into vibrant cultures, and soak in the historical significance of places like James Baldwin's home in Paris, the thriving Black culture in London, and the hidden gems of Brussels. Get ready for an experience that's going to leave you with memories to cherish forever. Don't let this extraordinary adventure slip through your fingers. Okay, so hello, I am Dr. Raquel, and thank you so much for joining us on the Best Life Abroad podcast. So today we will be speaking to the lovely Robin and her husband Keith, who relocated to Costa Rica. So they are going to share their insights and tell us all about their journey to living their life abroad. So welcome, Robin and Keith. So happy to have y'all on the podcast today.
Thank you for having us. This is
Oh.
really great.
Of course. I'm so excited to hear all the things. So, Robin, I actually saw Robin and Keith at my parents' church. So I was at church, at the service listening. And then the pastor tells us about Robin and Keith, who are here from Costa Rica, who have dual citizenship and are living their best life abroad. So I hunted them down at church so I could hear all about life and all the things that they do. So can you please tell us about how you made the decision? Like, okay, we are packing it up, we are moving. And when did you kind of start realizing, okay, this thing that we've been thinking about, we can actually make it a reality?
Okay, so about eight years ago?
Yeah.
About 8 years ago, we were going to take a trip. I decided for us to take a trip. We wanted to go somewhere we haven't been before. I made all the plans and she left it in my hands for a change. I did the
Uh-huh.
I worked in the hotel business, but I didn't want to stay where I worked at. So I wanted to stay in little mom and pop hotels just to get a feel of the people and you know, where the locals lived at. And, you know, kind of that's how we usually travel when we go anywhere. We like to stay where the locals are at. So I kind of mapped out the whole country and just picked little spots to stay at. You know, we went north, south, and east and west, rented a car and did our drive. You know,
And this was in Costa Rica.
Yes, when we got to Costa Rica, we rented a car, and just you know went to every stop that I had planned for us to make. We actually had one stop that was unplanned because one of the locations we kind of didn't. It was too touristy for us, so we really didn't like that stop. So we ended up driving around and ended up staying at another place not on my radar. Didn't know nothing about this. It's called Lake Arundel, which is right in the La Fortuna area. And we stayed there and really loved staying over there. Didn't meet a stranger. Everybody was just so accommodating. And you think it's just because they see you as a tourist, they're gonna be nice. No, it was just that was their way of life. They have a saying what they call Pura Vida, which means pure life, and that's how everybody has adopted into that lifestyle. So wherever you go, you never meet a stranger.
Mm-hmm.
But I will add, it was our anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
And when you fly into Costa Rica, there's 2 airports that you can fly into. And we flew into San Jose, which is the capital city, and then made our way around. And I was very happy and blessed with my husband's choices because, I'm a New Yorker. And as you can see, I'm a person of color. And when we go away, you want to have that resorty type frou-frou life. And was the first time that we allowed ourselves to be more immersed into a country. And it turned out to be great.
Yes.
That's great. So you guys go around, you're seeing Costa Rica, the real life of Costa Rica, and then do you feel like, wow, I love it, I can see myself here? Is that kind of what made you decide to pick those places?
Well, not originally. I mean, we just loved it. We said, oh, we'll come back and visit again, but we hadn't thought about moving there yet. That wasn't on the radar.
Okay.
It was just it was a great trip. We talked about it on the way back, and we did run into a little storm on the way back, so we had to cut our trip short a day and go back to San Jose because they had a big rainstorm. But it was just amazing to see how well they adjusted to the rain, and they had what they call ISE, which is their electric company out there clearing the trees, making sure nothing, power wasn't going to go out. So they were out there during the storm. So that was amazing. Also, they're very into what we noticed while we were there the first time was that they're very into sustainable energy. So they were using stuff that they never like. They were using paper straws that wasn't being used here. So we were just noticing a lot of stuff that they were doing was more advanced than what we were doing here. So that kind of really, amazed me also that they were doing a lot of stuff that wasn't being done in the States yet.
And I'm sorry, it's a country that really lives a Pura Vida life, and it's a country that is built on tourism. So hospitality is in their blood. They don't have a military. They gave up their military in the 1800s, and they took that budget over the years and placed it in healthcare and education.
Wow.
So it's a socialist
Healthcare.
healthcare system. Everybody has it.
The only requirements is that you have to have a high school diploma to get the free healthcare.
Right. High school diploma or GED, and you have healthcare.
Wow.
So, in education, the kids start speaking a second language. Some go to a third and fourth language. And it's amazing just to see, especially kids that look like us, multilingual. You don't get that. We're here in America. We've been here over 50 years, and we've never seen it.
Mm-hmm.
Unless the parents go out and pay for it. But it's great.
Yes, I love that so much. I love it so much. And so when did you decide, like, okay, we are leaving the United States, we are making a decision to go? And then how did you also decide, like, how much time you would spend abroad versus how much time you'd spend in the US?
Okay, so that story is a long-winded, I guess you would say. We didn't, like I said, when we went back about 5 years ago, we were looking at some business property with somebody. Never been to this side of the country that we were going to, because when we were going to go that first time, that's when we had the storm, so we never got over to see this side of the country that we're at now. So when we went over there, the business property didn't work out, and the deal fell through. So, but we met a new realtor that was over there, and when we got back home, about within a couple of days, would you say? He called us on the phone and said, I got this great property.
But it's residential, not commercial.
Yeah, not commercial. It's a residential property that it's not even on the market yet. And he wanted to walk us through it. So he did a video and walked us through the property. And so, being a New Yorker, like she says, you still got to go there. I think anybody. Skeptical, even though you see you still got to go and put your hands. I still had to put my hands and see it. So we had to make another trip to go down to see it. Now, the side that we currently live on, the first time we went there, it just spoke to us immediately. You saw people that looked like us.
It was a spiritual connection.
Yeah.
People tend to think that Central America and South America look like more of the white presenting or light presenting Latin community. And we got there, and people who look like us were
thriving,
living
and thriving,
speaking Spanish fluently, and we're looking like, yo, that looked like Joe from the block. And so we felt a spiritual connection. But before we decided to do all of that, he wanted to go to Colombia just to see.
Just to compare different prices. It's we'll tell you this. Costa Rica is is the most expensive Central American country to live in. So, but it is the safest, I would say, because when we went to Colombia, very sketchy, and you're very, I'm like more worried about her, because people are always very asking you, well, when they help you with something, they got their hand out waiting for some money, or they're asking you for money. So it was very sketchy, and I felt uneasy about being there. So that's how we chose Costa Rica.
Well, and plus,
You don't have to say that.
Okay, so we'll leave that for episode 2.
Okay.
No, not to cast any bad light on Colombia. It's just when you're there, be total mindful. In
Mhm.
Costa Rica, be mindful anywhere you travel.
Anywhere you go, yeah.
But Costa Rica made us drop it down a notch
Mhm.
because we were embraced like we were from Costa Rica. Even our first trip, Raquel, a lady on the plane going back home. And she's sitting in front of us and she turns around, starts speaking to me in Spanish. And I'm like, yo, I'm not fluent.
Wow.
And she goes, you going back home? And I was like, no, I'm not Costa Rican. And she's like, are you sure?
Yep,
And
I'm sure.
we had a long conversation, but she was so open to us that she gave us her phone number. And she said, well, if you're traveling the country, stop in Limon, give her a call. And we did it. This lady met us, took us around Limon, didn't
Wow.
ask, didn't ask for a dime. We broke bread, had great dinner at this restaurant she recommended. And to this day,
So
I can pick up the phone and say, hey, Felicia, I'm over here.
Wow.
You know, and she'll invite you back to the home. So, we didn't get that. And then we're very spiritual people,
Mhm.
and we had a spiritual connection with
Mhm.
this home, with this location, and especially with the people.
Mhm.
You know? So, but in between our first trip and our last trip, we went there about 4 more times.
Okay.
And nothing changed as far as the people.
Mhm.
Everything got even better.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's different. I'm surprised you didn't tell them about Milton. On our first trip, we met this guy, Milton. He managed the bed and breakfast we stayed in.
this is the place that we picked that on at a whim at the last minute.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we
And
got up the next morning and had a breakfast. He sat down with us, and he sat down talking. It was a small hotel. I think maybe it was like three or four of the guests in the hotel in a little Airbnb. Well, it was not Airbnb because they had
it was like a little hotel.
yeah. So he sat down, had breakfast, and we just started talking. And we said, yeah, we were thinking about maybe looking moving down. We don't know. As soon as we said that, he said, wait, I know some people, and he called somebody on the phone. I got somebody. I got some places to show you. So immediately, right then and there, we just met the man. He wanted to take us to meet some, people and show us some houses. So again, being skeptical, okay, this guy can take us out anywhere, and we end up,
In pieces,
in pieces.
waking up in a tub with no kidney or liver. I'm just going to be real. And nobody would ever know
What happened?
Yes.
what happened to us because
Mhm.
that wasn't on our route. So
Mhm.
it's kind of scary, but your spirit connected, and we go to these people's home, they're getting ready to have dinner. And the lady showed the house. And then they said, you want to eat? You can have dinner with us. Who does that?
Mhm.
So we knew that's where we needed to be. But we're in a town called Coweta, and that's on the Caribbean side. And the
Okay.
Caribbean side is, yes, it's more of a population of browner people. And the
Okay.
reason for that is in the 40s, when they were building the railroad, a lot of Jamaicans came over to build the railroad and never left.
Okay.
The generations of people of, Black people. And then they also were there. It wasn't a slave stop off necessarily, but one slave ship went down there, and the people just stayed because where were they going to go? The ship went down. So it's an island of history. It's not an island, sorry. It's a country of history. They appreciate their culture. And what really stood out to me, one of my heroes, is Marcus Garvey. Well,
Mhm.
Marcus Garvey, his maiden voyage on the Black Star Line from New York was Costa Rica.
Wow.
And
Didn't
he
know
went
that.
there,
Mhm.
yes. And he went there 2 times. And by the second time, part of his family, part of the people from New York who took the cruise, stayed because they felt more comfortable there than the United States. And now I know how they felt. But
Mm-hmm.
most of all, are you sitting down?
You sitting down.
Most of all, the month of August is Afro-Latino History Month.
Wow.
And the country celebrates it.
The whole
But the main parades and things like that starts in Coweta, our town, then goes over to another town called Puerto Viejo, and then it pops back to the main area,
Lemon.
which is Lemon. And just to see from the lightest to the darkest in African attire and in a parade and
Wow.
being proud.
Mhm.
I mean, you get the colors of the rainbow, knowing that man started in Africa.
Mm.
And I'll
So,
let you know that right away. And one of the things I really like that in one of the flags that they fly, and this is at the national park, which is a national park for the
to the
country,
town
they fly the red, black, and green flag all year round.
all year round. And if anybody wants to know where that flag originated, the red, black, and green flag originated with Marcus Garvey. That was one of the unity flags. You know, a lot of people think it's Black Panther, but no, it's Marcus Garvey. So even though he wasn't a full resident or part-time resident of Costa Rica, they believe in his philosophy. And the philosophy is for us people of color to be able to be Black beyond borders.
Mm-hmm.
You know, being American, we feel that going abroad, you know, we got to be sketchy or we got to pay high dollar to be accepted. But what I would tell anybody, travel,
Mm-hmm.
be Black beyond borders, because the borders that are in America are not to keep people out, in my mind. It's to keep people like us in. And
Mm.
Black, generational Black Americans, or free Black Americans, whatever you classify yourself as, we are conditioned to believe that everything is grand in America. And whatever way Americans are treated, we should be treated subclass. And
Mm.
when you go abroad, you'll find countries who love you, you have a kindred spirit with, you know, be smart and, you know, have a way out.
Mm-hmm. I love that so much because, you know, we talked a little bit about it when we met too, but it's like so often people feel like, oh, I wish I could do this or I wish I could go. And it's like you can, but it does take some pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone in
Yes.
order to be able to be willing to take the steps to do it. And sometimes, you know, I think we have been conditioned so much as Black Americans to think that, like, you don't know how many times I've heard people like, we already went on the boat. Like, why am I going to go some, you know? And I'm
Exactly.
like,
Yeah.
but you never know, because what I found is that things I could let my guard down places
Yes.
outside of this country that I could never let down within this country where I was born. And
Yes.
once you experience
Exactly.
that, it's like, oh no.
That's true freedom. You know, people are talking about, oh,
Mhm.
I'm woke, I'm woke. No, you're not. You're sleepwalking.
Mm,
Because if
wow.
you don't have your passport, you don't have to have a plan because we didn't. We
Mhm,
was celebrating our anniversary and the ability to travel.
mhm,
But let yourself go, you know, let yourself go, Black people. You
mhm,
know, don't be afraid because if you live in fear, that's what you're going to get.
That's how they have you strength. You know, that's how they have a hold on you because they don't keep their fear. You know, you watch the news, they tell you, oh, this country's bad. This what's going on over there is bad. But then you go there, you're like, what are they talking about? You know,
yeah,
we met some people when we've been back. One lady, and now that we come back, we automatically we get into conversation with people, and we always, you know, bring this up. One
mhm,
lady was saying, Oh, well, my friend that lives there, she told me they have
Martial law.
yeah, they have martial law right now. And I was like looking at it like, where is that at? I never seen that happen.
And how can you have martial law without a military to
Military.
control?
Yeah.
You know,
People just they hear stories and they just run with it without knowing any facts about it or, and we're coming to you, we live there, we know what's going on. Nothing like that's going on. So I was like, no, you've been misinformed.
and
Mhm.
also, let's be honest. They do have crime. Yes, they do. But it's not the magnitude of what we are used to living in New York and then living in North Carolina. It's a
Mhm.
different type of feel.
Living in the United States, they don't have, the kids don't have shooting drills at school. You don't see people
Mhm.
with guns are not a thing. I'm saying it's not a thing there, but it's not something that you're like, oh man, I heard gunshots last night while I was sleeping. Only thing I hear at night while I'm sleeping is birds, the
In the
animals at
ocean,
nighttime in the ocean because we live about a 5 minute walk from to the
around the
beach.
corner from the beach.
Yeah, we live right
Wow.
on the beach.
And
Wow.
okay, so you want to know about steps on
Yes,
how?
please.
Actually,
Okay, so first we bought the house. That was a process in itself
Okay.
because they want you to do what is called an apostille. And that's to show where your money originated from because you buy everything in cash. So we had to go to the state office of North Carolina and get everything notarized, and our banking was in order. And then we had to send that to them, the original papers. And once our lawyer got it, then we were able to purchase the home. And we were blessed to not only purchase the home, the lot next door on a dead end street.
so we
Oh,
have two lots.
So we have a buildable lot and a
wow.
ready-made house
Oh my gosh, I love that.
under $200,000.
What?
Can I say that again? Under
Say it
two hundred
again for the people in the back. What?
under $200,000. And the story why we ended up buying was because we sold our house here in North Carolina. Unfortunately, my wife, she had an accident, the Columbia story, but we won't go into that. And we had to sell. So I mean, when you decide to do something, and this is a very important point, we prayed on this thing. We wrote a vision board and we had to hang it in our bathroom. I mean, because this wasn't like this move took about 5 years to do.
Yes.
And she was just so gun ho about, oh, we're moving. She was telling everybody, yeah, we're moving to Costa Rica. Now me, I'm the money person, so I'm thinking in my head, okay, it's like, yeah, it sounds nice, but I didn't think it was ever going to happen. She was the one that was like, she always sees the glass half full. I see it as half empty. So anyway,
Perfect
so she
match.
kept
Look
telling
at
people,
that.
so she kept telling everybody, yeah, we're moving, we're gone, we're leaving this place. And I was like, okay, sure, right. So after a while, I started, as the time goes on, I get very antsy, and if it doesn't happen right away for me, I'm like, that's not going to happen. We
Mhm.
kept, once you pray about it, God's going to work it out for you. And that's what happened. We end up selling our house just before the market flipped back again. So we got a great price on the house. So everything was just aligning up just for this move. Like you want to be there, you're going to be there. Unfortunately, what happened to her, but it just made the ball roll to move forward faster.
Mhm.
This has been the best thing we ever done. The best thing we've done in our
Other
life.
than having our daughter.
Yes, other than having our
Our
daughter,
daughter.
it was the best thing that we ever did.
But
And then speaking on that part, I'm sorry, that house will be a legacy property that will end up, so we have something to give our daughter and our grandchildren when we're no longer here. So it is a legacy property. And that's
Love
a
it.
very important thing for people that want to do. We just had a event on last week, and they were talking about how do you keep antiques? It's like somebody has, oh, grandma gave me this dress, it's been passed down, it's an heirloom, it's been passed down. And and it's
or do you sell it?
or do you sell it? Do you keep the heirloom or do you sell it? We
Mhm.
had a house, here in North Carolina. We could have kept
22
it,
years.
but we decided to sell and move abroad. And now our daughter has a free and clear house with no mortgage. All she has to do is pay the property tax.
No HOA.
No HOA.
Wow.
It's a free property, and we're going to be starting.
And our taxes for both properties is less than our HOA
Was here.
was here in Huntersville, North Carolina.
Wow.
And And people don't know you have an HOA, but if the board doesn't like how you paint your house, do something, have too many cars, they can put a lien on your home. So
Wow.
technically you don't own your land, you just own the physical house, which you can't move, but you
Mm-hmm.
can lose. So it's a trap. I feel it's a trap.
Mm-hmm.
So free yourself from the trap. If you can't leave America for whatever DNA slave mindset you have, then go out and buy a property out west or look into the Homestead Act and work with the government to make them give you what you should have gotten, what they're giving to the Ukrainians.
Mm-hmm.
So, people don't know the different secrets. I'm very political and I still walk away from this.
Mm-hmm.
For us, you can't be free and look like us.
Mm-hmm.
Then we can be free. People, if they're faking it, they all got the same group call. If they're consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Taxes, like I said, um,
Very minimal taxes.
under $500 for the lot and the house around the corner from the beach.
Wow.
You can hear the ocean at night.
Yeah, being here, I used to have Alexa. I said, Alexa, play me some ocean waves.
Mm.
I can just sit in the living room and just be quiet and hear the ocean waves, hear the water crashing against on the sand and stuff. So
And so
Now,
how many, I'm sorry.
no, you go ahead.
I was gonna say, so how many months are you in Costa Rica and how many months are you here in the US?
our first journey we did, we
6
did,
to 6.
well, no, well, that's what we planned on doing. But our first time we were there, after we bought the house, we were there 3 months. We were there for the Christmas holiday. So we were there from, we left with November, December, and January. We came back in the end of January. So we were there 3 months, roughly a little more.
Mhm.
This second trip we just did, we were there for 6 months. And every time we go, it's just harder and harder to come back. 7 months. Yeah,
Mhm.
7 months. It gets harder and harder to come back. Now, what you have to do, since we're not a resident yet, we don't have.
We're in the process. That's what I wanted to correct.
Mhm.
You have to do 3 months and then go across the border and get your passport stamp, and then you can come back.
Mhm.
So we live about 40 minutes from the border of Panama. So our first trip when we were there, we had to go across the border and come back. We went to Panama we went for an overnight trip.
We went to Bocas del Toro, which is everything is on the water. So it's like being in maybe like Bali or like Tahiti or something like
We
that.
have a lot of water taxis taking you around.
And it's beautiful and it's a great place to go. The funny thing is, I was in a wheelchair at the time, and he's at the border police checking everything. And these people were giving me money. Just yes, giving me money. And
Mhm.
I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm okay. They look like they needed the money more than me.
Oh my gosh, wow.
Oh, she was just sitting there. It wasn't like she had a cup or in her hand or anything. She was
Right.
just sitting there waiting for me.
They were
And I
like,
think
let me help you.
yeah.
Wow.
And it's weird because when we go to the bank, when we do banking or we go to any
Any
store,
services.
any services, they let seniors and seniors, pregnant women, and people that
Of disability.
have disabilities, they go to the front of the line. And nobody says, I mean, if you did that here in the States, people would be, oh no, I was next. I've been here for an hour. No, nobody says anything. They just,
Let you go.
they just let you go.
So
Wow.
it's all about respect. But
Mhm.
the process in getting full residency or partial residency,
Mhm.
um, you have to get a good lawyer. You have to get all your papers in the States fully notarized. Um, you have to have at least $1,500 in the bank or own a property.
Mhm.
Since I'm disabled but able,
Mhm.
um, instead of paying 3,000, 1,500 each, they combined it. He comes with me, and it's only 1,500. And instead of taking a year, it could be 3 to 6 months.
Oh, wow.
So they take into full consideration who you are, your status, and they respect your status.
Wow.
It's not a gimmick. It's very easy to do. There's a lot of expats there. Where we live at, even though it's the Caribbean side, there's Swedish, a whole bunch of white American, French, and Italian,
Canadians.
and Canadians.
Okay.
So, some people say, "Oh, y'all were running away from white people." No, we weren't. They're everywhere, just like we are everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, it sounds so easy, but you have to, have a plan,
Mm-hmm.
put your goals out there. Where I was telling everybody he wasn't, because I'm that person. But sometimes I'm learning from him to keep it close to the vest.
Mm-hmm.
Because what you believe and want to do, there's so many people praying against you. And they're not outside people. Most of them are family people because they're afraid.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't live by fear. And
Yes.
we have two beautiful grandchildren who are ready this summer to jump on a plane and be a part of this environment.
Mm-hmm.
I really, you are doing great things, you and your husband, with your family. You're taking opportunities to see the world. And I don't want to get into your finances, but if you plan accordingly, you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Plan accordingly and just put your toe in the pond. Just get
Yeah.
out,
Yeah.
and see. So, my thing is Blacks Beyond Borders.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go back on her part about the family dynamic of it. And sometimes people, it's not people are, some people don't want you to leave, they want you to stay, and they don't, it's not an ill intent that, but whatever you pray, you know, prayer is powerful. So somebody says, oh, I don't want, if they pray and say, oh, I want them to stay here and don't leave, that can go out and be negative towards, what we were trying to do. So it's not a thing of family holding you back or anything like that. It's just that some people don't, they are more comfortable with you being close to them than being far away. And that goes back to the thing of, some people don't want to leave. Some people are.
Hey, Harriet Tubman. That's-
Mm-hmm. Great
Harriet
example. Mm-hmm.
You have those who can't leave the plantation.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate to say it like that, but I'm a realist. I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna keep it real. I mean, get out the plantation. Get out of it in your head because we come from corporate America.
Mm-hmm.
He's IT and I'm human resources and operations. So we were doing it. We were living that dream. You know,
Had expensive cars.
we had everything.
We had the American, we were living the American life. But now and it's a third world country, and you wonder how these people, they're so happy and they don't have much. It's just they don't, they don't desire that.
They haven't been spoiled.
Yeah.
They
Mm-hmm.
haven't, everybody talk about the American dream. I think personally for Black people, it's an American nightmare because the more you try to get that dream to be a reality, you put more restraints on yourself and then they change the rules in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And with this political climate, whether you're Democrat or Republican or whatever in between, there's not really a good candidate. And, we keep saying, oh, I'm going to vote for this one, lesser of two evils. Until we create a system that totally allows us to be real citizens in America, we will always be at the bottom. We went from number 2 to number 4. You have white America, you have Latin America, and you have Asian America within America. And then we come.
And then close behind us is now everybody, all the migrants that are moving here now that are coming for whatever reason from the countries they're coming from. But that's another show. We're gonna keep it positive and keep talking about
No,
this.
it's positive, babe. It's just letting people know the truth. If people are coming to a place to be free, to get the dream, most Costa Ricans work in America, they come back to Costa Rica. They have property. That money that they're making, they buy property if they don't have legacy property.
Yeah.
They're building homes.
Mm-hmm.
So why can't we do that?
Yeah. and then all nationalities do that. You know, the Indians. I mean, the people
East,
from
East Indian.
East Indians were doing that. You know, they would come over like in IT. You know, they come over and work in IT. They would stay here for a couple of years, make their money, and take it back home.
Yeah.
But this America's not our home, so why you want to keep staying here? You know, go venture out. If you want to go to Africa, I mean, it was too far for us, so that's why we didn't pick Africa. People say, why don't you go to Africa, back to the motherland? It's just so far for us, but we do have that on our bucket list to go visit because now we have a central place that's we call home, and we can still venture out because you know everything is already set in stone here. You know, everything's paid for. You know, we know. You know,
We're
what it
part of
feels
the
like.
community.
So if we can now travel more that we want to, you know, being here in the States, you know, you always worry about chasing that dollar and, oh, I can't take that trip. Oh, you make that one trip you make once every 5 years. Some people make a trip, and some people don't even leave America. They just go, well, I'm gonna go to Disneyland. I mean, I know people that go to Disneyland every year. How much Disneyland can you enjoy this year? You know, how much more is there
The
to see?
mouse hasn't changed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
still Mickey's there and still Minnie's there. You know, everything's the same.
I want to say this on this camera. My husband lost 70 pounds in a year and a half
Oh yeah, the weight stuff. The food is different.
from farm to table.
It's not
Wow.
all it's not all the food that has all the injections in the meat and the chickens and stuff like that. Everything is fresh.
He walks and he is DJ. So we have a friend who owns a restaurant, El Cangreco Loco, which is in the Crazy Crab, which is in the center of Huita, the town we live in. And he DJs, he does the karaoke, and we're in another town, probably about 20 minutes away, and we're going to pay our taxes. And this guy goes, "Hey, DJ."
That's my new name now. Everywhere I go, everybody knows me.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
That's how small the community is because
Oh my goodness. That's
funny.
so it sounds like y'all have been able to really like build a community. What do you feel has
Yeah.
been the most difficult part about your transition?
that I can't be there full time.
Mm-hmm.
And, people say, well, Robin, you're American. Don't you have all your family's here? I want my family to be free.
Mm-hmm.
And if Costa Rica isn't it, find another place, you
Yeah.
know? Healthcare, I have health issues. I had a bad health issue while I was there the first time when we first moved. And we went to the clinic, but it looked like a hospital to me, but they were
Mhm.
like, that's the clinic. Went there, the nurse saw me, tested me, gave me what I needed, and sent me home
Wasn't a charge at all.
with a whole thing of medicine
Wow.
that they would have charged me. I would have got a bill from Novant or Atrium.
Or any,
Yes.
or any or your healthcare provider where you live at.
Yeah,
So
and that is huge. That really is huge because my son was born in Belgium, and
nice.
that was like one of the main things was like my in-laws came to visit. They were sick. They went to the doctor. It was like, oh, that'll be 25 euro. They didn't have health insurance, so it was like there are so many things that I think until you hear people say it. So I really appreciate y'all sharing. Until you hear people say it, you don't actually think it can be real. I remember like when we first came back to visit and I was like, what's happening with y'all in the hospital? Like, why is this accepted in the United States? But it's just like, you don't even think that something else is possible because you haven't heard it or seen it. But once you see it, it's like the chains falling off because then you can see something completely different.
And what's also interesting is that a lot of medications that you have to get a prescription for, you can buy over the counter there.
in Walmart,
Wow.
A little,
but a little pharmacy. But
Wow.
you don't need a prescription. Just what I had to do,
take the
show the pill bottle. Oh, we got that.
Wow.
right over the counter, so you have to have a
Over the
prescription.
counter.
Yeah.
And what about in terms of language? Like, how have y'all been? Obviously, it's a Spanish-speaking country. How has it been for you getting around, like, as someone who, do you know the language? Are you learning the language? How has that been for you?
Okay.
Poquito español.
Poco, poco.
Poco poco.
Okay.
But you know what it is? When you're there, you start picking up a lot of words that you hear.
Translator.
Yeah. On Google Translator, and then you
Uh,
start picking up. Like I picked up some words. You know, now that I have been there, they kind of leave my mind.
Because you're hearing conversations.
Yeah.
And I will say, they do work really hard to work with you.
As long as you're not there saying, "Well, I'm from America. You have to speak English. I don't speak your language. Speak English." No, you can't. You're
Oh,
going.
where's the English speaking people?
Yeah, but you're going to you're in their country. You're their guest, so you should at least learn the language or learn some of it or try to be learning the language. So we pick up a little bit here and there as we're there.
And we do Duolingo, and our grandchildren do Duolingo because they're preparing themselves to be there. And they're only 6 and 8, and they're
wow.
ready to go. So yeah, the language, I thought it would be harder,
Mhm.
because you learn Spanish in school, but it's different. Like hola is for like the general people, tourists, stuff like that. But they say buenas,
Mhm.
which is,
Growing up from Buenos Dias, they just say buena,
buena.
buena. So it's but you learn those little things as you're there. So
Yeah.
you will pick up things as you're there.
Mhm.
But most of the people there, they'll speak, and it's interesting to see, you'll see like we said, we'll see, Jamaican people that are there had the full dreadlocks or whatever, had the braids, and they're speaking Spanish fluently. So it's like, man, I wish we would, learn Spanish more when we were younger. As we get older, your brain doesn't keep, well, for me, I'm not going to say everybody else, but for me, it's a little harder because
He's an American and can't get over the English language. But I will say he's doing much better. And, people assume when they see us that we're Costa Rican.
yeah, they immediately start talking.
And they'll start talking Spanish, and then we have to say, no hablo
I'll give that look like
español. And they're like, oh, you're not Costa Rican? And then they'll go out their way to communicate. And I think we're blessed by that. Because you can go to some countries and they're like this. You don't know my language, you can't, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. I love it. And I love that your grandchildren are like this is creating a different type of a legacy of global mindedness, and I love that so
I'm
much.
gonna coin that phrase.
Yes,
I'm
for
gonna
sure.
coin it.
And I love it so much. So we're wrapping up. So if you can please just share, if there are any people who are listening who are still kind of on the fence, they're not really sure if it's something that they want to do, that they can to do, what advice would you give to those people?
1, free your mind.
Mm.
2, get off the fence. 3, explore something beyond your borders. And 4, be intentional about your trip. It's
Mm,
not a girls' trip, it's not a boy hangout trip. It's an intentional trip. It's a
mm,
life choice. And you have a choice. I guess my husband has a few too.
Yeah, I would say get off the fence. Just go visit somewhere. Just get out of the country and just go see something else other than your four corners or where you're a little comfortable,
Your borders.
where your
mm,
comfort zone is. Get out and just see some of the world. See how you get treated differently once you leave these United
These
States
borders.
these borders of the United States of America.
mhm,
Just go see how people treat you differently. And if you want to really look at something quickly, when Barack Obama ran for the first time and he was going to these other countries, you notice how he was selling out wherever he went because they were so immersed on seeing
A black man
a black
from
man from
America
America
run for president and become
and
president.
become president. And they thought, they thought, okay, America might be changing. They might, you know, they might be finally realizing that slavery was wrong, and they're trying to what's the word I'm thinking of? Abstain? No,
No,
they're just trying to right the wrong that happened with slavery. But then when he got in office, they just went right back and showed their bad side, and that's
mm.
put us back a couple of years now, back 100 years or whatever. But yeah, I would just say take the trip.
and get out. Blacks Beyond Borders.
Get out.
And if you're coming to Costa Rica, you can contact us. We can navigate where you want to be. If you want to be on the Pacific side, which is a beautiful side, then, you know, we can go over there and show you.
Oh, and you open a
So,
real estate business.
and I didn't want to share that, but
Oh,
yes.
sorry.
Yes, myself and two of my partners who are native Ticos, which are Costa Ricans, they call themselves Ticos. And we decided to open a real estate business, and people are receiving it very well.
Mm,
So if you want to learn about Costa Rica, between myself and my two partners, we can show you the country and show you how to live the way you want to live. So
yes,
just do it. Nike had the best concept. Just do it. Life
just
is too short.
I love that so much. Thank you so much for sharing all your things, all your information, all the insights, all the wisdom, all the gems. It was so great to hear about your journey to living abroad. So, if any of you are interested in moving abroad and you need some help taking the leap, I am here to support you on your personal journey. Head to my website at www.yourbestlifeabroad.com for information on how to get your dream of moving abroad into a reality. So, thanks again for joining us today, and there is no time like the present to live your best life abroad.